I'm all. Good morning, everybody, and we're well into July now, and looking forward to carrying on with our Monday motivations. We have the next 4 weeks pre-booked and planned, so you should be able to see that on the Talk Business website by the end of the day. And today, delighted to have the Chief Zookeeper himself, Nigel Risner, been all over the planet telling people what animal they are and what that means to them. But today, how to be a champion in the current world. So back to yourself there, Nigel.
Good morning, everybody.
Where are you going to take us today?
Good morning, everybody, and we're going to do this in 26 minutes to make sure we can finish by 9:30. I'll stay on if you want, if there's any other questions. And then I will do a little bit about the animal stuff if I've got time when I get down to organizational skills. So, good morning, everybody. I hope you've all taken the quiz online, which was under my website under theory. It will tell you which animal you are. If you want to be a champion in today's world, the first thing you have to do is be really careful about what your character is saying to the rest of the world. And over the last 100 days, your character would have said a lot to your clients, and your character over the next 100 days is going to say a lot more to your clients as we come out the other end, even though it may take a lot longer than 100 days. So your character is actually who you are, and your reputation is what people think you are. So I want you to be aware that how you appear and all your correspondence and all of your tweets and your Instagram is showing up about your character. So be very careful what you tweet, what you put online, because people are going to be reviewing. When they buy from you, they're going to want to go to your webpage, your Instagram, your Facebook. And I've seen too many people lose jobs based on past tweets about who they think they are, because it says a lot about your character. So number one, you've got to really be aware of is that if you want to be a champion, your character has to stand out. Number two is H for heart. And I spend a lot of time on this because I'm all about heart. I'm all about love in a different way to most people. But you need to give people a little piece of your heart more than a piece of your mind. And this is tough in this world. Let's just play with somebody here. So, Claire, if I said to you the word intimacy, what would it mean to you?
A sense of connectedness.
Yeah.
A sense of trust.
Yeah.
A sense of togetherness.
Okay, I'm going to make it easier for you, okay? So the word intimacy really means into me you see.
Oh.
And when people get to see the real you, they will then buy into what you're selling or buying or connecting with. And intimacy is probably the hardest thing we've had to do over Zoom because they can only see this face. And normally you wouldn't be looking straight at someone's eyes. But intimacy and heart is probably the most important thing that I teach at the moment. But there's another part to this which says, when was the last time you gave your staff or clients a good listening to more than a good talking to? This is really key. And let's just work with someone else. Simon Casey, can you spell listen for me?
Listen.
Right, so you probably know for years we've been told we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth and we need to listen in that way. Would you agree?
Yes.
Well, then it should be list 2, but it's the word list 10. You need to start learning to listen really carefully to your clients, to your children, to your partners, to your suppliers, because the greatest leaders are the greatest listeners, and the greatest champions are the greatest listeners. I do a lot of work with large councils, and there's normally 1 or 2 deaf people in the audience, and they listen much more carefully than able hearing people, because they have to watch every word we say. So what I'd like you to do, and I'd like you to be aware of over the next 21 days, is how often you're not listening and then you lose focus. So I have a phrase that says, if you're in the room, be in the room. And if you're on Zoom, be on Zoom. Too often, people like Chris are looking to their left or right. They think they're not focused. So I was watching, okay? And it's really hard because it's hard to be in the room for most of the time. So most of my meetings that I run, and this was pre-COVID, when I'm on stage, my average speech length is 42 minutes. That is about as long as you can concentrate without losing focus. On Zoom, it's probably about 30 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and in a normal daily work after 5:30, it's a waste of time. So I want you to be aware how long you can give your heart to people. But the key one for me is the A for attitude. It's a tough one here because people's attitude shines on Zoom more than anything else in the world. Abraham Lincoln had a great line. He said, people over the age of 12 are responsible for their faces. And your attitude shines through big time on Zoom. And too often you get lots of miserable people who unfortunately are watching Zoom and they have I'm not going to use the phrase, but I'll just give the initials, an RBF. Anybody know what an RBF is? I'm hoping someone's going to share it.
Resting bitch
Resting
face.
bitch face.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linda. I wasn't going to use the phrase, but I'm glad you did. Yeah. And you need to be aware it comes across terribly on Zoom that sometimes you just got that look. Now, you're not aware of it because you're not necessarily looking at the speaker, but I'm watching right now 54 faces, and some of your faces, Craig, Tom, try and smile. Thank you. It's not difficult, but it just shares a whole different persona of people. So you've got to have great character, a massive heart, and a great attitude. Does that make sense? But the big one for me is mission. Now, I don't know how many of you have a personal mission statement, but it's really key, this line. I'm going to do it as fast as I can, even though this is a 4-day course. I have a mission statement, and it's on the back of my business card. I have a number of business cards, but on the back of my business card, my personal mission statement is on there. And my mission in life is to inspire and empower people and their organizations to live their life to the fullest. But the two key words are to inspire and empower. Now, Jonathan, I'm not going to put you under pressure here, Jonathan Smith. Would you agree that in theory this morning I'm inspiring and empowering people? Just unmute yourself and say yes. Otherwise I've got to change my whole speech.
Most definitely.
Okay, so in that theory, I'm in alignment with my mission statement. Now, I don't do after dinner speaking because they don't want literally inspiration and empowerment. They want jokes and they want long stories. So my life works when I'm inspiring and empowering people. Anybody here stayed at a Ritz-Carlton hotel? Anybody rich enough? Claire, you have. Claire Seed Director. I love that. I'm sure that's not your whole name. Claire, do you know their mission statement?
To make everybody feel part
No.
of their family.
No. Anyone else? When you understand their mission statement, you'll understand why they're the best hotel group in the world. Okay, you ready for this? It's a game changer. We are, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. So we're phenomenal people, looking after phenomenal people. We had just before, I think it was Alison who runs the charity. I've just lost her on the page here. No, it wasn't Alison. It was Cheryl. Apologies. See, Cheryl, when most charities that I do lots of work with, the hardest thing is for charity workers and people who work in charities to feel inspired as well as the people they're inspiring. And too often it's just about them. We need to look after ourselves so we can do a phenomenal service for other people. Hard Rock Cafe have a very great mission statement. Love all, serve all. And it all may sound a bit airy-fairy, but you need to have a mission statement that you don't really need to look at to know you've had a great day. So when I go to bed at night, if I've inspired and empowered people, my life works. If I do the middle finger when I'm driving my car to some guy who cuts me up, it's probably not inspiring and empowering people. But we all do it. I do not live my life in integrity 24/7. But when I'm in integrity, my life seems to work. So what I'd like you to do, and I will help you if you want some support, is think about your business, but think about your life. Here we go. Teamwork makes light work. Yep, quite like that. But it's about what do you do that makes you smile, that gives you energy to create more energy for other people. If it's just about them, you will lose focus and you'll lose energy. So as a motivational speaker, having done 20 years, 2 million people all over the world, I'm used to a live audience working all over the world. What I've now had to do for the last 100 days is be on Zoom. And the worst nightmare for me is that at 9:31, someone like Jonathan presses the button leave. And I'm just looking at a screen on my own. And if I haven't felt inspiring and empowering, I can feel deflated. So I need to know I've made a difference. Does that make sense? So you've got to have great character, big heart, check your attitude, and have a mission statement that's compelling. Now, let me leave you one last line about mission statements. A mission statement has to be so huge, you can never get there, but moment by moment, you're working towards it. If you could make your mission, that's called a goal. So if anyone has ever done a marathon, okay, if anyone's ever done a marathon, it's a pretty simple goal structurally. You start at Greenwich, you finish at Buckingham Palace, it's 26.2 miles. Does that make sense? You know exactly how it's structured. If you want to lose weight and you go on the scales and you lose 2 stone, then that's your goal. If you want to write a book, that's your goal. But my mission is so huge, I can never get there. So I've spoken to 2 million people over 20 years, but there are 7.2 billion people in the world. I'm 7 billion short. I'm not sure. And I was 58 2 days ago. So I've got about another 22 years, in my opinion, to be able to do this work. I'm not sure I'm going to make the 7 billion, but I can constantly be working towards it. So what I'd like you to start thinking about is, what am I doing moment by moment that makes me happy, that enlightens me, that makes me feel spiritually enriched, or whatever word you like to do. Because let me tell you now, the best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. So you need to start thinking about, what do I do that's going to make a difference to the world, but make a difference to me too? So character, heart, attitude, mission. And then the hardest one is perseverance. Because lots of people come on a course and lots of people write lots and lots of notes. And I often share in live audiences, I'd much prefer for you to take notice than take notes. And very often people say, can you just repeat that so I can write it down? Which always amazes me. You see, when you write lots and lots of notes down, what most people do is they put them on the shelves at the end of the session, and that's called shelf development. It doesn't work. What really works is to persevere and focus on where you want to be. The word focus really stands for finish one course until successful. And most people, like Jonathan, I'm sure there'll be another speaker next Monday, and there'll be another speaker the following Monday, and by about Thursday, you'll have forgotten this, and you'll be waiting for next week's speaker. And then the next speaker will be going through, and about halfway through, you'll be thinking, I wonder who next week's speaker is. Just follow one speaker for a couple of days and listen to some of their nuances, some of their key points. Believe me, not everything I'm saying is going to resonate at every single level. But I will tell you now, if you're in the room and you're focused and you've got a good heart and you're intimate with your clients, half your life will work. Then the next big one for me is about integrity. Now, I don't know about you, but if I share I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And nearly all of my stuff is online. So I can't lie anymore. I used to be able to 20 years ago and say, look, Jonathan, I can't do your meeting, so I need to be somewhere else. And then you go online and you can see exactly where I am, because too many people tweet, they're doing Facebook Messenger, they screenshot this, and it goes on social media. So your integrity today is being checked more than ever. People are going to be listening to what you say. They're going to be watching what you do, and they're going to be making sure that you're what I call an integrity. Integrity is very cheap, but very hard to do. It doesn't cost any money to be an integrity. You just got to be an integrity. The problem is there's a phrase that says, say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. So I now say to my clients very often, that doesn't fit in with my mission. I'm glad you've asked, but it doesn't work for me. Here's the name of some other people. I'm not doing work that's not in alignment with my mission statement. Then the last 2 letters, and I'm trying to do this as fast as I can, but as slowly as I can. It's organizational skills. Now, some of you may have taken the test and some of you may not have taken the test, but there is a test on my website, nigelrisner.com, and if you go into the theory section, there's a section to find out which animal you are. Now, the reason I want to share about the animals very quickly is that there's a phrase that says, you have to do it by yourself and you cannot do it alone. You need support to get your dreams met. I'm absolutely shocking at admin. Okay, let me make no bones about it. I have a CEO that runs all of my admin side, and she is the chief elephant officer, and that's on her business card. Now, I've got to tell you, she's a size 8, by the way, but she is a massive elephant, and this is her business card, and all of my animals have different cards. So she is the chief elephant officer, and she is great at everything but one thing, speaking. She hates speaking live. She doesn't like being on the phone, but she's got all the other skills that I'm not good at. Now, the reason you're looking at this view is just to this side of me is my paperwork that I haven't done. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this view. Okay, and I'll talk about my animals behind me. I know my biggest weaknesses, so I have people around me. I have 3 people that help me with my books, my website, my marketing. All of them are phenomenal at everything but speaking. What you've got to do is find out where are your weaknesses, earn enough money and employ them. Try not to become a jack of all trades and a master of none. So very quickly, we will have some monkeys online. So I'm the CMO of my organization. And as I just said that, I can't find my business cards, which I just had in front of me, because that's what the type of monkey I am. I will find them in a second. But I'm a monkey. I've been a monkey all my life. The advantage of being a monkey is I'm playful, I'm energetic, I'm lively, I'm persuasive, and I'm good at everything but paperwork. And I love presenting. And monkeys have 2 great advantages. They've got lots of energy, but our biggest disadvantage is we are not great at completing tasks, and we can only be focused for about 20 minutes. Just by a show of hands, how many people were monkeys on the survey? I'm just going on to the next page. Okay, cool. We're up to 54 people. I had to move pages there. Okay. Then we've got the lions, and we will definitely have some lions here. You know who you are. You prefer to be doing the speech. You think you can be doing the speech. You think you're better than I am, and that's okay. Because lions would much rather be right than happy. Lions run an organization by flying in, speaking really fast, sharing with their team, not listening to their team, crapping on them, and then flying back out again. And lions know where they are. They're on a mission to change the world. They don't have time to interact. They don't have time to mess about. They're on a mission. The advantage with lions are at least you know where you stand. Then we have the elephants. This is a cool one. Let me just quickly share about elephants. Elephants need data. They need a process. They need an agenda. They need an agenda, don't they, Claire? They need details. I knew you were, okay? They need detail. And it doesn't matter how much information you give them, it's never enough. So they'll be hoping there'll be notes from today's session. There aren't any, because I'm a monkey. I'll tell you about the books in a minute, because it will help you out. But it doesn't matter how much information you give to an elephant, it's never enough. And it will look like, for the monkey's point of view, the elephants are a bit slow. What's happening is they're processing all the information. Monkeys just have answered 80. They don't know what the question is, but we've just said 80. That sounds like a good answer. Our favorite word, if you're a monkey, is ish. The reason why monkeys never built the cross-tunnel, I can't say the word now.
Channel.
The channel tunnel is because it would have looked like this. It would have been close enough, but it wouldn't have been exact. Elephants are chief design officers. They're lawyers. They're accountants. They're mechanical engineers. They have a process. And then we've got, so this is a lovely hat, but I'm just going to quickly find it here. Here we go. And then we have the dolphins. And this is a lovely hat over there. And dolphins will always head tilt. Dolphins want the world to be a much better place. They are so worried about the rest of the world, they forget about themselves very often. So the job from today is not to be a better animal. Your job today is to be the chief zookeeper. And your job, if you zookeep your troops and you zookeep your customers, is to know what food those animals want. Now, that's a bar of chocolate I just got sent. Now, my client knows me well enough because there's a monkey on the back. It was my birthday. I got lots of chocolate, and I had people send me this. And some idiot sent me Bourneville chocolate. Now, what is that about? Who likes dark chocolate? If they had known me well enough, they would have known that was never going to work. What I'm saying to you is, I'd like you on your CRM system to do 2 other things. I'd like you to add a column for animals, to know which animal your client is, or your family, and then to make sure you're feeding them the food they want, not the food you want. So I wrote a book called It's a Zoo Around Here. And when I wrote the book It's a Zoo Around Here, I had to make sure I had to make sure that all the animals were looked after, and I wrote the book in the style of the animals. So for the monkeys, lots of colour paper. Not many words on each page, but lots of great colour page. There's even a joke on the very first page, which says if you go to the zoo, always take something to feed the animals, even if the sign says don't feed the animals. Remember, it wasn't the animals that put the signs up. Now that works for the monkeys. For the lions, not many words on each page, but they're very important words for them. For the elephants, Claire, you're going to enjoy this bit here. Okay, especially for you, Claire. For the elephants, ooh, now that's exciting. They get very excited with that. And for the dolphins, we printed the book on recycled paper. Now, you need to understand that if you're going to write to your clients, if you're going to email your clients, if you're going to do a Zoom presentation, it needs to be in their style. Lions hate to be muted in Zoom presentations. The monkeys have to be muted, otherwise it will be chaos. The dolphins are busy making sure everyone's picture is on there and they can scroll through and see everyone's faces. And when they can't see people's faces, they get very nervous. And the elephants are just hoping there's notes at the end of the session, which there won't be. So your job from today is to make sure you have what I call a dream team. So if you're a monkey, you must have an elephant working with you. If you're a lion, you've got to have a dolphin working with you, because you've got to have opposites. This is the one time where opposites attract. So I've just had my 35th wedding anniversary. So I've been married 35 years, happily 4, by the way. But, you know, we've been married 35 years, and I'm married to a massive elephant. I mean, she's a size 10, but she has a list for everything. We go shopping. She knows the layout of the store. She knows where things are. And I just pick any shit because it's okay. It looks okay to me. What I'm saying to you is if you want to be successful in business, just being a better animal is not the answer. That's why I have a problem. I love that. Someone once said the quality of communication is the response you receive. Exactly right. If you're communicating well, I love that comes from Claire. She's very proud of herself. She found a quote. Well done, Miss Elephant. What happens is if you communicate well and they understand your communication, you've done well. Assume that most people you're talking to are 8 years old. And if you can't explain it to an 8-year-old, so look at your brochures, look at your website, and if an 8-year-old can't understand it, it's too complicated. I don't care how clever you think you are. 8-year-olds are at the average age of most people in communication. We think because we've said it, they've understood. Last letter that I'm going to come back to something is the N for nerve, or chutzpah, or courage, or cheek. You have got to be a little bit crazy. You've got to go out there a little bit wild. You've got to ask them. I mean, so Jonathan just said to me, would you mind a cheeky request? I always know when it's cheeky, it's going to be free. You know, that's what people mean on this. But at least he asked. And when people ask, and it fits in with my diary, and it's about inspiring and empowering people, if I can fit it into my diary, then I do it. If it had said I want a communication workshop on doing comedy, and it's at 11 o'clock in the morning, the answer would have been no, because I just don't do that, and the timing is wrong. So think about the requests you're asking people. Are you cheeky with it, but is it done out of love? So there's my basic model, but I want to share 2 other things. If you do personality tests, be very careful, because often what you find out is why that's your dominant style. It doesn't matter if it's your dominant style. What you've got to learn to do is to become a zookeeper. I swear to God, your business and life will change when you understand what zookeeping is about. So it's taken me 15 years to write the follow-up for Zookeeper Prince, Zookeeper Rules for the Office. And very quickly, what we share is what happens if you don't look after your animals. So if I'm not looked after, I turn into a hyena, and I can be vicious, and the laughter that you hear, trust me, is not funny. It's before I go for the kill. Lions can turn into tigers and eat their own. The worst, though, are the elephants, because elephants look like they're on your side. Then they all retreat. Then they'll go quiet. Then you won't see them. And then someone like Claire will charge you with documentation. And they're called rhinos. But the sweetest ones are our dolphin friends, because they look friendly. But dolphins are one of the only other animals that have sex for pleasure. Just thought I'd share this. But they can rape, they can pillage, kill young, because what they've actually done is turn into sharks. And sharks can smell bullshit from 2.5 miles, And sharks can smell blood in the water from 2.5 miles. That's why when sharks come quite close to the beach, they're quite happy until there's either some blood or there's commotion, and then sharks attack. So all the animals have a secondary trait. And I'm telling you now, if you don't look after your clients or your partners, they will turn on you. And when they turn on you, it isn't pleasant. And then we're surprised. We've known that it's going to happen for some time. Just because they've gone quiet doesn't mean everything's fine. As my wife says, I'm fine. Trust me, she's not. I know there's trouble brewing. So I'm just sharing, and my time is nearly up, it's 9:29. If you want to be a champion, big characters. You must have a big heart. Look at your attitude and see what you're putting out. Make sure you have a mission statement that's compelling. Don't give up and persevere. Make sure you're in integrity and you're in the room. Your organizational skills to make sure you've got a full team around you, and have lots of nerve. Bit cheeky. If I can support any of you, just ask. Go to my website. As I said before, if you go onto my website, buy any of my books, there'll be a discount. Plus, we're going to give another 10% to charity, to Cheryl's charity. 9:30 on the dot. How about that for you, Jonathan?
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much. I think, yeah, deserves a general Zoom round of applause.
No, you can unmute yourself for that.
That's fabulous. Yeah, so I'm sure we've got 2 or 3 people who've definitely made all the notes for us that we'll share later. So that's Claire and Gwyneth.
Could somebody send me a copy? I'd like to know what I said.
I got told off for doing my notes.
Well done. Well done. Be in the room. Take notice, not notes.
Yeah. Brilliant. Any questions from anyone for Nigel before he disappears and tucks into all that nice Bourneville dark chocolate?
You dare say that word? That's like a swear word to me.
Oh, brilliant.
Have I shocked everyone?
I think so. Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. Well, even for someone who doesn't make many notes, I've made a few. Yeah, I think the one I like is be responsible for your face, because that's the sort of world we're definitely living in at the moment.
Well, Jonathan, Abraham Lincoln said people over the age of 12 are responsible for their faces.
Yeah. Oh, that's a brilliant one to leave me with. And also the one that give everyone a good listening to. Something I think which, yeah, definitely none of us are very good at doing. I don't know if there are any questions down there. Feel free to unmute yourself, or...
They're all very shy, Jonathan. Yeah. They all look very shy.
I think you shocked them. You're not quite sure what's going to happen next.
I see we've got an elephant FD there at the bottom. Go for it.
I was going to say, I recognise a lot of those traits that you've gone through there. And as an elephant FD, my biggest challenge has been working with Lion chief executives.
Yep.
Other than patience, how do you encourage detail elephant FDs or detail elephants to deal with lions without turning into rhinos?
Okay, so the first thing you've got to do is you've got to listen to them and make it look like it's their idea when you have tax advice. Okay, because what if you say to them, have you thought